Conservative new media viewers and Jeremy Lin fans around the world, what is up? It's me, PFE, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to discuss Houston's 123-117 overtime loss tonight to the Philadelphia 76ers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, we made a short video about this game earlier tonight. This is the long video about the game. If you'd like to check out the short video, you can go to our channel and do that. I will also try to put information about the short video in the comment section. So you can just go right from the comments and go and check out that video. Also, JDV made a reaction video to tonight's game as well. So I will put information about that video also in the comments below. Should be close to the top of the comment section, so you can check that out. With the loss, Houston falls to 5-4 on the regular season. Now, Houston was playing tonight without James Harden, who is suffering from bruises on both of his feet. The Sixers played without star rookie Michael Carter-Williams, so both teams were a little bit short-handed. Jeremy Lin started for the Rockets in place of James Harden. So he started the game at shooting guard with Patrick Beverley starting at point guard. Houston was in good control of this game. They were up by at least 10 points in the fourth quarter, and things looked really good, and Jeremy was rolling. However, Philly came back, and they closed out the game, and James Anderson, former Rocket, hit a huge three-point shot with like 1 second left in the game in regulation to tie up the score and send it to overtime. So that's kind of what happened here, and Philly got the better of the overtime. This game, in a lot of ways, was a shootout between Jeremy and James Anderson. I have no idea why James Anderson was so fired up tonight. My guess is that he wanted to let Houston know that they made a mistake by not bringing him back in the offseason. He almost doubled his career high in scoring tonight. So he just played great, and you got to give him credit. Jeremy also played great. They both scored 30 or more points, and it was just a back and forth between the two. A lot of this was the Philadelphia backcourt against the Houston backcourt, with Dwight Howard also thrown into the mix because Dwight himself had a very good game. Okay, look, Linsanity 2.0 absolutely was in effect tonight. There's no question about it, and this is the second straight game that we've seen it. Some of you guys said that the a game against the Raptors wasn't true Linsanity because there wasn't any assist. Well, the assists were back tonight. And I think one of the reasons why the assists were back tonight and the ball movement was better was because there was no Twin Towers tonight. That lineup didn't show up in this game. And I think you're going to be seeing less and less of it from here forward for the Rockets. Things just work better without that lineup. And so I think the team knows that. And that probably means that Omer Asik might be on the way out to another team via a trade, but we will have to wait and see. Jeremy went crazy from three-point land tonight. Just nuts. And we will talk more about that as the video progresses. We talked about it. He talked about it. He made the Reloaded video this summer about how hard he was working during the summer to improve his skills, including his three-point range, and it was on full display tonight. His averages, his three-point shooting this year already was way up. But this made it even more clear just how good of a three-point shooter he has become. This was a difficult loss. Again, they had this game. And if James Anderson doesn't hit a miracle three-pointer right at the end of the regulation, Houston wins, and the story is Linsanity 2.0 is back in full effect. I looked on Twitter right after the game. Jeremy Lin was the number one trending topic, at least in the U.S. So it's just one of those deals where you didn't win, so the story changes. And that's the way that it goes. Jeremy has scored 65 points in his last 2 games, and that is the most he has scored in a 2-game consecutive stretch for his career. So this was even beyond Linsanity in terms of the scoring for 2 consecutive games. Houston is still a work in progress. Of course, they did miss James Harden tonight, but the truth is there are still things for them to work out. There are still things they need to improve. There still isn't a lot of sync in their team, although it did look better tonight without the Twin Towers lineup. It's going to take time. These 2 teams, Philly and Houston, are 2 of the 4 youngest teams in the league. What I mean by that is the average age of their players on the team are 2 of the 4 youngest in the NBA. I think Philly is the youngest, and I think Houston is the 4th youngest. So when you have a young team and you bring in a bunch of new guys like Houston did, it's not going to work immediately. It's just not going to work. And, Kevin McHale might not be the greatest coach in the world. I'm not trying to put him down or whatever like this, but young team, new pieces, maybe not greatest coach ever. This is what you're going to get. This is the way it's going to look. And I'm unhappy about tonight, but I'm not surprised that the team is struggling a little bit. So we just got to roll with it. And look, Philly they beat Miami and they beat Chicago this year in Philadelphia. So they're a surprising team. They're particularly surprising at home. They can do this. They're capable of doing this, and that's basically what happened tonight. Okay, let's look at some statistics here. Patrick Beverley scored 12 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in 42 minutes. Patrick shot 4 of 8 from the field, including 1 of 5 from three-point range, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 3 steals, 1 block shot, 0 turnovers, 4 fouls. His plus-minus was a plus 11, and Patrick's efficiency was 25. Jeremy scored 34 points, 5 rebounds, and 12 assists. He played 49 minutes, shot 10 of 19 from the field, including 9 of 15 from three-point range, which is absurd. I'm trying to remember the last time somebody hit 9 three-pointers in a game. I'm sure it's happened or even probably happened recently, but I don't personally remember that. That's pretty crazy. 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 8 turnovers, 5 personal fouls. His plus-minus was a minus 11, and Jeremy's efficiency number was 33. Turning to Dwight Howard. Dwight had 23 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists. Dwight also had 6 block shots, so he played a great game. His efficiency number was 35. So I believe that the top 3 players for Houston in terms of efficiency were Dwight Howard, Jeremy, and Patrick Beverley. Now, turning to the Philadelphia 76ers guards and how they did. Tony Rotten, who I believe was making his first career start, and he's a young player. He's like a second-year player. He was playing point guard. He had 18 points, 10 boards, and 11 assists. So Tony Rotten had a triple-double in this game. It's almost like Michael Carter-Williams goes out and you just put in Tony Rotten and he gets you a triple-double. That's amazing. That's just incredible. Tony's efficiency number for the game was 22. James Anderson, 36 points, 5 rebounds, 0 assists, and his efficiency was 40. James Anderson was the man Jeremy was guarding tonight, although Jeremy wasn't on him for the entire game. I think there came a time in the game where Evan Turner, who starts at small forward for the Sixers, was switched on to Jeremy to try to slow Jeremy down because nobody else could. And I believe at that time, Jeremy was guarding Evan Turner as well. And I believe Chandler Parsons then was guarding James Anderson. Now, that might have been by Coach McHale trying to put Chandler on James Anderson to slow him down. James Anderson has several inches on Jeremy. So that's a factor, or it can be. And tonight it was a little bit. And so that might have been why Chandler was placed on to James Anderson at one part in this game, or I think that he was anyway. Okay, let's turn to Jeremy specifically, and let's talk about it here. Jeremy put on a show tonight. He really, really did. He was incredible in this game, except in the fourth quarter, when the whole team kind of had a little bit of a letdown. And the Sixers had a step up. The Sixers were great in the fourth quarter, and you have to give them credit for that. And again, they're capable of this. They're 5-4 on the year. They're not the team people thought they were going to be. People thought they were going to be the tanking for Wiggins team, trying to get Wiggins in the draft next year. Well, it hasn't worked out that way. This team is dangerous. They're talented. They're extremely energetic, and they're for real. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're going to go to the NBA Finals or anything, but they're legit. Big change in them and their team, and you have to give them credit. They showed a lot of heart in this game, a lot of focus and fortitude, and this was they really performed well, particularly in the fourth quarter. Jeremy showed his scoring prowess once again. He showed how great, apparently, his three-point shooting is now. I mean, it's amazing. What's clear now is that his three-point shooting ability is definitely for real. There's no question about it now. There are people coming in, maybe a small sample size, and maybe he'll cool off. Well, no, he hasn't cooled off. I think for the season now, he's shooting like 52% from three-point range. Is that going to hold up? No, it's not. Almost certainly it won't hold up. But it shows you that all the hard work that he put in this summer, and remember, during last season, his three-point range and shot improved dramatically. Shows you all of the work that he's done is for real, and it's paying off. Remember, a year ago, people said Jeremy can't dribble with his left hand, he can't drive to his left, and he can't shoot. Well, that's gone. Jeremy routinely drives to his left now, finishes with his left hand, including finishing with his left hand late in the game against Toronto on a great shot. And he can shoot the three-pointer. Now, he still has things to work on. The two primary things he has to work on are the turnovers and defense. His defense wasn't that great in this game. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And James Anderson was just on fire. When a player's on fire, there's not a lot you can do about it, which is basically what the Sixers were experiencing trying to guard Jeremy. Also, the turnovers are coming, a number of them, when Jeremy gets hung up on his drives to the basket. And this was mentioned in the comments of the short video. You know I've mentioned it a million times. So there is still more for Jeremy to work on. But you can't expect a young player to improve everything all at once. I mean, Jeremy had 12 assists in this game. 12. That's huge. So even though he had the 8 turnovers, which you don't want, he still made a tremendous amount happen in this game. You have a young player who's lighting up the scoreboard, scoring like crazy, making plays for your team with assists. Okay, his defense wasn't perfect, and he turned the ball over a few too many times. But if it wasn't for Jeremy, this would have been a blowout loss for Houston. People are saying it's all about Jeremy, or I know a couple of people said this in the comments. No, it really wasn't. Jeremy saved Houston a number of times in this game. He was the only person hitting three-point shots. If the team is not able to hit three-point shots, then what defenses will do against them is they will play zone defense, which means it's very hard to drive, it's very hard to score inside, and you must hit shots. So if Jeremy wasn't hitting threes tonight, then Philly probably would have gone to a zone defense, and this would have been probably a 20 or 25-point loss for Houston. So I just want to make sure that's clear to people. This isn't Jeremy lost the game. That's crazy. That's just false. That's not accurate. Again, James Anderson hit a three-pointer desperate with a couple seconds left in the fourth quarter, or else this is the Jeremy Lin rules the universe game. So that's the way it goes, though. What Jeremy needs to do in order to have fewer turnovers, swing the ball more. Don't try to make plays when you're not confident about it or it's not there. Some of this has to do with Jeremy's driving ability. Some of it has to do with his limitations athletically. Because, again, Jeremy's not a small guy. He's pretty big. He's extremely fast straight ahead, like sprinting speed straight forward. His lateral speed isn't as good. And, again, he's fairly bulky. He's not a small guy. So he's not going to be able to make certain moves with the ball that players that are smaller can make. Even somebody like a Steve Nash. Steve Nash is probably a little taller than Jeremy, but I think he weighs less. Jeremy's he's thicker, I think, in the legs and in the hips and stuff. So there's certain things that he can't do. And maybe he can do them later. I'm not trying to tell Jeremy what he can't do. I mean, that's definitely not my position. But so what he's going to need to do for now, until he can keep working on that, is don't try to do too much. Now, it's difficult on this team because they need somebody to try to do things. And Jeremy and James Harden are the only two guys on the team that can do that with any reliable ability. Well, James Harden wasn't playing tonight, and Jeremy had 12 assists. But guess what that means? Jeremy's going to try to make things happen. A number of the turnovers, or I can't remember exactly how many he had in the fourth quarter, although I have them written down. It's because Houston's offense bogged down. They couldn't do anything. Jeremy got a little bit cold from the outside on shooting, relatively speaking, who's hot all night. And so Jeremy was trying to make things happen. And that's good. But what he's going to learn and what he needs to remember is don't do things you can't do. Don't try to make something when it isn't there. He will get better at this. He will get better at this. But as I said earlier, you can't improve everything at once. The time will come for more improvement on decision-making and the driving, etc. It's coming. It's just, you can't expect him to do everything all at the same time. It's not realistic. In terms of Jeremy's defense, look, he still has some issues where he'll drift when he's watching someone else on offense. In other words, he's on defense and his man doesn't have the ball. He's looking at someone else's man. Sometimes he'll lose his man a little bit. He has to keep working on that. In terms of man-to-man defense, his man-to-man defense wasn't great tonight. He certainly has played better man-to-man defense this year, like against Portland or against Dallas. It wasn't horrible. It really wasn't. He's not he's not a superior defender in terms of his lateral foot speed, meaning he can't move side to side like other guys can. That might be just better athletes in terms of lateral movement. LeBron James or just people like this, Avery Bradley. And that's okay. That's his skill set. He can play good defense. We've seen him play good defense this year. And I know that when he was in New York, he was classified as what is known as a plus defender. Plus defender means that somebody who, when they're on the court, your defense improves. And this is done, I believe, by statistics and all. The opposite of a plus defender is a minus defender. My guess is that if the season ended today, Jeremy would still be a plus defender. Tonight just wasn't his night. And again, he played 49 minutes. He led the team in scoring. You can't do everything. You can't do everything. You can't lead the team in scoring and lead the team in minutes played and lead the team in assists and not, you're probably going to make a few mistakes. And that's what happened. So I'm not freaked out about it. He needs to continue to improve on the turnovers and defense, and he will when the time comes, one thing at a time. The team was looking for Jeremy tonight. They knew he was hot, the same way that they knew he was hot against Toronto. I remember one play in particular. Dwight Howard had the ball in the post, and he made a move, and he might have been double-teamed, and he made sure to find Jeremy on the perimeter with a pass. And what I mean by that is Dwight wanted Jeremy to take the shot. He didn't want anybody else to take a shot. He wanted Jeremy to take the shot. So, one play was run, at least one play was run late in this game for Jeremy to take a three-pointer. I think it was in overtime where he came off the dribble and stepped right into a three-pointer and drilled it. So the team was definitely looking for him tonight. And it worked. And he basically delivered almost the entire game. And McHale, again, was fair with Jeremy. Now, I know a number of you guys are, you're giving McHale too much credit, Paul. Blah. No. As I said in the comments of the last long video, I believe it was, what I'm saying is, in the Toronto game, McHale had a choice to make at the start of overtime, at the start of the second overtime, during the fourth quarter. Who was he going to keep in or put in, Jeremy or Patrick? Well, he chose Jeremy all three times. That's what I'm talking about. When I say McHale's being fair, what I mean is he made the choice to stick with Jeremy because Jeremy was hot. That's fairness. If he wasn't being fair, then he would have gone with Patrick just because Patrick's the starter right now. But he didn't do that. That's what we want to see. The same thing happened tonight. The reason why Jeremy played 49 minutes in this game, because pretty much he was Houston's best player tonight. Certainly their best scorer and best playmaker. That's why he played so many minutes. Sure, he would have played fewer minutes if James Harden was around, but James Harden wasn't around. So what did McHale do? He stayed with Jeremy because Jeremy was doing the best of anybody. That is fairness. That doesn't mean I love Kevin McHale, or I think Kevin McHale's Greg Popovich now, or Phil Jackson. But we're going to praise people when they do well. And Kevin McHale stuck with Jeremy and was fair to Jeremy with minutes. So I'm going to give him credit for that. And that's it. And that's we got to do that. We got to be objective. We got to be fair. On the Houston broadcast of the game, Jeremy was named the player of the game. Again, fair. We said that Clyde Drexler gave Jeremy all kinds of credit in the Toronto game. Well, tonight, Jeremy was given all kinds of credit again by Bill Worrell and Matt Bullard, who broadcast the games for Houston. Clyde Drexler, I believe, does not join the team to broadcast games when they're on the road. So it's just Bullard and Worrell. They gave Jeremy all kinds of praise tonight. They talked about how his shooting has improved, talked about how great he played in the game. They knocked him a little bit for the turnovers and all, but again, that's fine. I mean, that's real. But he was named player of the game late in this game. There was an offense for defense switch late in this game, which is similar to what we saw with the Kyle Lowry and Jeremy going out and Patrick Beverley coming in on defense. This happened in overtime. The reason why it happened, to my understanding, was that Jeremy had 5 fouls at that time. So they didn't want him to get another foul and foul out because they needed him to try to shoot a three or a couple of threes late in the game. So I believe that's why the switch was made in this instance. Now, Jeremy this year is getting fewer rebounds and fewer steals than he's capable of. I talked about this during the summer about how Jeremy played last year and how he started the year with tons of rebounds and then they went really, really down. My guess about that is that Jeremy's trying to work more on his transition defense. In other words, get back. Don't worry about rebounding and don't try to do too much with steals. Just try to stay in front of your man. This is why I think Jeremy's numbers are down in those two categories. And look, that's good because it shows that he's concentrating more on defense, even though the stats might not show that. It shows that he's more team-oriented to my way of thinking. And so Patrick might get more rebounds and more steals, but it just might be that Jeremy's focusing in a different way when he's on the court than what he could do and then what Patrick may be doing. And that's fine. That's fine. With Jeremy's points and with his assists tonight, he accounted for at least 58 of Houston's 117 points. So far more than 1/3, even though he's only one of 5 players on the court at one time. The reason why it's 58 is he scored 34 points, and every assist is worth at least 2 points. So he had 12 assists, that's 24 points. 34 plus 24 is 58. The truth is, a couple of those assists, I believe, were for 3-pointers. So basically, Jeremy had accounted for himself probably half of Houston's points. Again, you can't try to blame this guy for the loss. That's just crazy. I mean, it's just not realistic. After the game, and I mentioned this in the comments of the short video, and I also mentioned it on Twitter. I think I mentioned in the short video, I'm not sure. Jeremy said that his performance was a little dampened because the team lost. In other words, I don't want to talk about my stats or my shooting because we lost. And that's good. That's what you want your player to say. It's not about the stats. It's about winning and losing. And he also said that it was his worst defense of the year. Maybe. His defense wasn't incredible in the Clippers game, the first game against them, but all around, this might have been his toughest defensive night, but most of the night he was guarding a player that's several inches taller than him, and James Anderson, who also happened to be insanely hot. So, and Jeremy had to carry the offensive load tonight. So, remember we talked about before the year, James Harden said that he was going to focus more on defense this year. Well, it's difficult to be great on offense and great on defense. So tonight, again, Jeremy scored a bunch. He dished out a ton of assists. He played a whole bunch of minutes. You can't do everything because you're going to get tired. You have to choose how you're going to spend your energy. One of the things I liked about this game a lot was Jeremy didn't seem that tired. So not only is his shooting better and his dribbling better, his conditioning is clearly better. I think I even heard he was a little bit sick. This is what we're seeing. We're seeing definitive improvement in his game. And it is easy to get hung up on the things that he still doesn't do perfectly or that he doesn't do great at times, like defense, like turnovers. But I think that's missing the mark. And you're not seeing the forest for the trees if you get hung up on that. Jeremy's just getting so much better as a player. And I told you guys, I've said it before, it's going to take him several years to really get to where he wants to get to. The good thing for him is, as we've said many times, he clearly, without any question in anybody's mind, is a absolutely legitimate NBA player. So he's going to be around. Again, no more sleeping on the couches. He's set in terms of money. Hopefully he just stays healthy, and he will continue to work on these things. And he will get better and better and better. And that's it. That's all you can ask for him. And that's what he's doing. I also believe Jeremy is not tradable at this time. And I don't mean it because of his contract. I mean Houston can't afford to let go of him right now. His scoring is too good, and he's the only other playmaker on the team along with James Harden. So I do not think he's getting traded because they just can't afford to lose him. He's too important, and you see it tonight, and you saw it in the Toronto game. There are times when Jeremy is going to be the best scorer on the team, as he was tonight, as he was in the Toronto game, even when James Harden is playing. And he's going to be a great closer, as he was in the Toronto game. So I'm not saying it's totally impossible. A deal couldn't be made for him, but I think now, based upon how he's playing, it's almost impossible. You just can't lose him, particularly if James Harden gets hurt. Who's going to make plays? Nobody on that team can make plays except for those two guys, basically, with any consistency anyway. That's it. Nobody else can do it. And Dwight can be a great scorer, but he's a derivative scorer. He's not a great post-up player yet. Most of his scoring is going to come off alley-oops, putbacks, off rebounds. He's not a guy that you can create offense from a lot. So he certainly isn't a great ball handler. You need Jeremy. The team needs Jeremy. And so I think it's less and less of a chance that Jeremy's going to be going anywhere this year, which I know a lot of people want to see him be traded. But for Jeremy and his stability and his comfort, and just this is be good for him. He's in the same city. He's with the same teammates. He can just kind of get into his groove, which clearly he's into now. Okay, so as I said earlier, the summary of where Jeremy is as a player, he's solidifying himself as a scorer. And as I mentioned in the last video, this is what you will see once he's able to shoot, and now you're seeing it. He's not going to score 30 points every single night, but this is what he can do now. When his shot is on, he's almost unstoppable, because then you have to come up close to him to guard him. Well, he's going to blow right by you. Then your only hope is to either double team him, or else you better have a great shot blocker back there to stop his layups. And that's going to be difficult because, again, he's so quick. He draws fouls, and he will develop more shots around the rim, the floaters and runners. I forgot to mention, because I didn't see it clearly, the shot that he hit against Toronto, that layup at the end of the second overtime, was a left-handed underhand teardrop. It was just an outstanding shot. Jeremy didn't have that shot before. He said after the game that he's never even hit that shot in a game. He's never even tried that shot before. Well, that's the type of shot I'm talking about, floaters and runners. As he develops more of those shots and he gets better and better at them, then there will be even less of a chance to stop him. Because even if you have a shot blocker back there, all he has to do is throw a shot like that up there and it's going in anyway. So then you hit the perimeter shots, you get layups on drives, and you can still get shots over shot blockers. At that point, he's going to be almost an unstoppable scorer. And it's coming. You can see it that we're heading that way. After the Toronto game, Kyle Lowry, who knows a thing or two about playing point guard for Kevin McHale and for Houston, said that Jeremy was a quote-unquote alpha scorer, meaning a top-level scorer. And that's not far from the truth. And we're seeing that now. And again, I expect that to continue heading in that way. He does need to keep working on defense, and he does need to keep working on turnovers and his drives. And he will. He will. Again, one thing at a time. Finally, just to restate before I go to quarter by quarter, if James Anderson misses the three-pointer late in regulation, then this is the Jeremy Lin celebration tour. All night, wall-to-wall, everything. So that's how close we were to getting full-blown mega Linsanity coverage all over again. But that's how it goes. When you win, it's great. When you don't win, you don't get the same kudos. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, let's go to quarter by quarter. Again, Jeremy started this game with James Harden out with injury. Early in the first, Jeremy drew a foul on an inbounds play. And the way that the foul structure works in the NBA is that if you are fouled before the ball is inbounded, before the ball is in the field of play, you get 2 free throws. So Jeremy was fouled. He got 2 free throws, and he made both free throws, and that was the first score of the entire game. Then Jeremy was double-teamed early, so it looked like Philly was nervous about him early, and they saw the Toronto footage and realized Jeremy was kind of on a roll. So I noticed that they double-teamed him early in this game. Then Jeremy missed a 3-point shot late in the shot clock. It was extremely deep. I think it was basically a straight-on shot, maybe about 25 feet away. He had to shoot it. He shot it, and he missed it. Then Jeremy got a foul. He was in transition against Tony Rotten. I hope I'm saying his name right. It might be Roten. It's W-R-O-T-E-N. I'm not sure which one. Then Jeremy drilled his first three-pointer of the game from about 15 degrees left of the top of the arc, and it was deep. This was several feet behind the three-point line. Again, low shot clock, and he just absolutely nailed it. Then Jeremy tried to make a full-court pass to Chandler Bieber Parsons. Philadelphia had just scored, and Jeremy, I think, took the inbounds pass and threw it up ahead, and Chandler, I think, just fumbled it away. So the turnover went to Jeremy. So we know he's good on the full court and half court passes, but be careful. Especially now you're playing a lot of minutes and everything. Just dial it back a little bit. That would be my advice to him. And James Anderson was able to beat Jeremy off the dribble, and it wasn't bad defense by Jeremy, if I remember correctly. But again, James Anderson was on a mission tonight, and he was able to score there. Then, still early in the first, Jeremy drilled his second three-pointer from about 25 degrees left of the top of the arc. Patrick Beverley had passed him the ball. And then Matt Bullard said that Jeremy needs to look for his shot more, meaning his three-point shot more, because he's shooting so well and because basically nobody else on the Rockets is shooting the three-pointer well. And it's a good point. If Jeremy's shooting like this, look for your shot from three-point range. And I mentioned this the other day on Clutch Fans, and it actually sounded like what Matt Bullard said was read from Clutch Fans. Jeremy doesn't have the mentality of a shooter yet because he's only now becoming a really good shooter. So he doesn't think about himself as a shooter. So in order to take a bunch of three-pointers, you have to think about yourself in that way. Well, he's only starting to do that. In other words, if he keeps shooting like this, pretty soon he will think of himself as a shooter, and he'll take every three-pointer available. But he still thinks of himself primarily as a driver and a slasher, which is what he's been for, I think, a lot of his basketball career. But so that's another thing. That doesn't happen immediately. It takes time before you recognize that you're really good at something else, and maybe you're going to try to do more of that, like shoot more three-pointers. So that will also come. Then Jeremy had in the middle of the first, he did a drive, and he got stopped on the drive and did the little pivot move, and I made a comment in the notes saying easy on this, meaning this is the type of thing Jeremy does have issues with. He might not be able to get the drives quite as easily as he'd like, and he gets hung up, and he stops dribbling. You don't want to do that. As a guard, you don't want to lose your dribble, is what it's known as, when you drive and you get stopped and you stop dribbling. So that's something he would continue to improve upon, and he will, but it's still something that's there. Then I put, this is still middle of the first, I put Jeremy still limited by athletic ability and experience on drives and on his defense. Work with it. And this is what I said earlier. There are things Jeremy's never going to be super great at, just because of the way he's built and because of his lesser athletic ability traits, like the lateral movement. So what he has to do is he has to mold his game around his strengths and weaknesses. There are times where he wants to drive and make things happen where he can't do that really well. Again, I'm not saying this to put him down. I'm saying this to look at it objectively. And again, look, maybe a year or two from now, he can do it perfectly. But for now, he's got to adapt to his limitations. And when he does a little bit more of that, then you'll get fewer turnovers and fewer hung up drives. So that's what I was thinking there. Excuse me. Then they had a feature with Jeremy on the Houston broadcast. It was like something that's like Jeremy Lin making a difference, the player that's making a difference. And they were talking about how much his shooting has improved. So they were real nice to Jeremy all game, and that's good. Then Jeremy had his first assist of the game in the middle of the first. He passed the ball to Dwight Howard for a successful shot. Then the announcers said that Jeremy was healthy this year and that he wasn't really healthy last year. Boy, does that sound familiar. And it's about time that people started saying that. And the announcer said he has an extra spring in his step, meaning his legs are livelier. He's got more confidence. Well, it's easy to have more confidence when your knee's healthy. And it's easy to have less confidence when your knee is not healthy. So, as we've said, we tried to tell people this last year. The problem was Houston fans that either didn't see Jeremy play in New York and didn't understand the difference between him before the injury and after the injury, or people that just didn't like him and didn't want him to do well and didn't want to listen to people that knew better, like we did. So it's good to hear the announcers change the narrative, correct the narrative. Yes, he was not healthy last year. Now you're seeing what a healthy guy can do. And good. I'm glad that they're recognizing that. Soon after this, Jeremy was burned again by James Anderson on a layup. So look, James Anderson was going to work, and Jeremy was having a little bit of trouble. And it happens. You're playing a player that's taller than you, and he's on a mission, and in the zone, that can happen. James Anderson hit 12 of 16 shots in this game. So basically, he hit 75% of all the shots that he took, and that includes 6 of 8 three-pointers. If you left the guy open, if you left the guy alone in a gym, he might not hit 6 of 8 three-pointers, and he might not hit 75% of his shots. James Anderson had something to prove tonight. I don't know if it was against Jeremy, or it was probably more likely it was he wanted to get revenge on Houston because they didn't re-sign him. Or I guess that they didn't re-sign him. I don't know what the negotiations were there. I just know James Anderson played for Houston last year, and he's not playing for them this year. So something happened there. And, you know, he just had it going. And that's the way it was. And it, unfortunately for Jeremy, James Anderson was his assignment on defense. Well, for a lot of the game anyway. Middle of the first as well, Jeremy had a nice drive and dish. He drew all the attention of the defenders and passed it right off to Dwight for a big dunk. And so I said, remember, people were complaining, oh, Jeremy had 0 assists against Toronto, which is technically false. He should have had 1 assist at least. But the concept that Jeremy can't make plays is a joke. I mean, did anybody see Linsanity in New York? Of course he can make plays, and of course he can get assists. And that was pretty clear in this game. Then, soon after that play, Jeremy had his 3rd assist of the game. He passed the ball to Terrence Jones in the left corner for a 3-pointer. So Jeremy was rolling. He had his outside shot working, and he was making plays. So he was cruising. And then I put Jeremy's shooting is now setting up his drives and playmaking. If you can make the outside shot, your driving ability gets much better because the defender, if you can't shoot, if you've ever seen people play defense against Rajon Rondo, or how Rondo used to be in particular, they'll give you, there's a whole bunch of space between the defender and Rondo. That's because they're not worried about Rondo stepping up to shoot. When you can shoot, then the defender has to get really close to you, and that means you can get by him on a dribble very easily. So with Jeremy shooting like this, the drives get even easier, and that means he gets to the second defender, meaning someone else's defender, a help defender, a defender that leaves their man to come help on Jeremy. And that means Jeremy either shoots a layup or he passes it to the guy whose man left him, and it results in dunks like the one that Dwight got a couple plays earlier. Okay, Jeremy came out of the game with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter. Houston was up by 24-20 at that time, and he came out for Francisco Garcia. He was rolling. I think Mikhail just wanted to get him a rest because he knew he was probably going to be playing heavy minutes tonight, which is exactly what ended up happening. Then Jeremy came back into the game with 2 minutes and 33 seconds left. He came in for Chandler Parsons, who my guess is that Mikhail took him out because he had a couple turnovers quickly. So Jeremy got to rest about 1 minute and 20 seconds of game time there, and that was a pattern for the night. He wasn't going to get a whole bunch of rest. Just looking at my notes quickly here. Then, late in the first as well, Jeremy had his fourth assist of the game. He passed the ball to Omri Caspi for a layup. Soon after that, right after that play, James Anderson got a three-pointer over Jeremy, I believe. Then after that play, Jeremy had his fifth assist of the game already in the first quarter. He got another pass to Omri Caspi for another layup. Then Jeremy had a blown assist right at the buzzer. He passed the ball to Aaron Brooks for a missed three-point shot at the first quarter buzzer. At the end of one quarter, Jeremy had 8 points and 5 assists. His efficiency number was 11, which is phenomenal. That's incredible. And I made the note that Houston finally got off to a good start. We know so many of the games they get way behind. And part of the reason why they got off to a good start was because they didn't do Twin Towers. Terrence Jones started the game rather than Omer Asik. Terrence Jones is playing well. He's a young player. He still needs to develop, but he's got a tremendous amount of talent. Tremendous. He can shoot the three. He's extremely athletic. He's big. As he gets a little bit more mature, his game comes around, he's going to be a force. Hopefully that'll happen sooner rather than later, and right now it's looking like it might happen sooner. He had some very nice plays in this game. And people said, look, the ball's moving better because James Harden isn't in there. You know, that might be true. The ball moves freer when you don't have a ball stopper, like James Harden can be, like Carmelo Anthony can be, etc. And trust me, the team's okay with that. Even though they need to go to Harden, the key is, in order to let Jeremy run the offense, he's got to cut down on the turnovers. The more he's able to cut down on the turnovers, the more they'll let him run the offense. So that's kind of part of the balance. But look, early on, I mean, he couldn't play any better. He had, 5 assists and 1 turnover in the first quarter. That's incredible. That's what they want. And honestly, later in the game, when he started making more turnovers, he might have been a little tired. So he'll get beyond that too. You have to learn how to play a different way when you're tired. You have to play within yourself maybe a little bit more. And Jeremy will learn that. He'll learn that. Okay, Jeremy began the second quarter on the court with Aaron Brooks. So I believe Patrick was out of the game. Jeremy was playing shooting guard. Aaron Brooks was playing point guard. Then the announcers I might be wrong about that. It might have been Patrick on the court then as well. I don't know, I might have written it down wrong. The announcers then said that Jeremy and Patrick, when they play together, play really well. And they had a statistic that said, like, when they're on the court together, the team's like plus 17 and plus minus. So it does work, and they do play well with one another, which is nice to see. Then Jeremy was burned again by James Anderson for a three-pointer, and we've on a pick-and-roll play. Well, a pick and pop is when you set a pick, and instead of the man rolling to the basket, he sets up for a jump shot instead. That was kind of what this play was. It wasn't exactly that. That's not quite true, but it basically became that. Once again, Jeremy went underneath the screen, meaning he gave the shooter more room. You can't do that. Jeremy's made this mistake a few times, and he's got to keep working on it. Now, James Anderson isn't the greatest shooter in the world, but he was tonight. So, although at this point in the game, Jeremy didn't know that. I think James Anderson had hit 1-3 before this shot. So, this wasn't a huge mistake. It's not like the same as going under on a screen against like J.J. Redick or Kevin Durant, guys that you know are great shooters. So I give him a little bit of a break there. And Jeremy had another blown assist to Francisco Garcia for 3. So even though Jeremy had 12 assists in this game, he could have had even more. I mean, he could have had like 15 assists. Then Jeremy drove to the basket and he got smacked in the face. He got 2 free throws and made both of them. And there were a ton of Jeremy Lin fans in the crowd because every time he made a free throw, the place was, I mean, you could hear the cheers easily. And the announcers mentioned this too. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people in the building wearing Jeremy Lin jerseys. That's right. As I said on Twitter earlier today, after the Toronto game, in the first 24 hours after the Toronto game, the YouTube highlights of the game put up by Blyon had 250,000 views almost. Never underestimate how popular Jeremy is. That's what I try to tell people. You don't understand how popular this guy is. And a lot of his fans are really polite. They're not super vocal, a lot of them, but they're there. Sometimes the doubters are much more vocal, but believe me, there is an avalanche of Jeremy Lin fans in the world, even if you don't know about them. And that's what we saw with the Blyon's highlights. I mean, 250,000 views in 24 hours. That's enormous. And there wasn't even a ton of coverage of that game. I remember going to ESPN stuff. There wasn't any big headlines that Jeremy did great. No, but people heard about it and they wanted to see it. And that's again going how popular Jeremy is. Also, early in the second, Jeremy had his second turnover. He did a spin move on a drive, and he wanted to pass the ball to Omer Ashik, but he got stripped. And then he got called for a foul afterwards, which I thought was bogus. So again, many of Jeremy's turnovers come when he's driving. He's trying to make little passes, little dump-off passes. Or they come off the full court passes. So there are specific things he can work on and improve the turnover number. And he's already done a lot of that. But he will continue to work on it. And it will get better and better. Then Jeremy, or also early in the second, had his 6th assist of the game. He passed the ball to Omri Caspi for a 3-point shot from about 15 degrees right of the top of the arc. And Jeremy drove, and he was blocked. His shot was blocked. I think he wanted to pass the ball, actually, on that play, but he was not able to do so, and he might have had to shot the ball. He might have had nothing else to do at that point in time. Then James Anderson hit another 3 against Jeremy. This is also early in the second quarter. And at that point, James Anderson had 15 points. And it was clear James Anderson was going to have a big night. And so was Jeremy. So, it was a shootout, basically. Then, middle of the second, Jeremy, there was a play going on in transition, and Jeremy actually dunked the ball. But they had just stopped the play right before it, which is too bad because it was a pretty nice dunk. And I'm sure Jeremy wasn't really thrilled with that play being whistled dead. Middle of the second, Jeremy had his 7th assist of the night. Actually, right before the 7th assist, he had another blown assist to Omri Caspi, who missed an open 3-pointer. But then Jeremy had another great alley-oop to Dwight Howard for a dunk. We saw this, I believe, in the Toronto game, or maybe the game before that. So Dwight and Jeremy are getting better and better chemistry. Remember, we heard this talk about how Houston can't throw lobs. No, actually, they can, which we've seen Jeremy do with players like Tyson Chandler and Landry Fields and Iman Shumpert and many others. So the concept that Jeremy can't throw a lob is nuts. And you're seeing the better chemistry like on this play. Then, let's see, Jeremy, middle of the second, hit his third three-pointer of the game. It came from about 40 degrees left of the top of the arc, and at that point, that gave him 13 points for the game. So, again, at this point, James Anderson, 15 points, Jeremy, 13 points. And this was a catch-and-shoot three. As I explained, a catch-and-shoot means you get the ball passed to you, you do not dribble, you shoot after you catch the ball, and it was a great, great play. I then made the note that neither team is playing any defense, which the announcers, I think, also said. And again, it was a shootout. It was like playground ball. Who's going to score more? Let's find out. And that's a lot of what was going on. I also made the note that Jeremy must continue to work on his defense if he wants to get more playing time. And that is true. That is true. He does need to keep working on that, as well as his driving ability to get as much minutes as he can get, game in and game out. Then Jeremy missed a layup, and he wanted a foul on the play, but he did not get it. However, what I liked in the play was that Jeremy did the yelling thing, which is you go on a play, you think you get fouled, and you yell so that the referees hear you. Usually players will yell things like, hey, which I believe is what Jeremy said, which, again, is to get the attention of the referee, hopefully get a call. Then Jeremy had an excellent defensive play where he helped out on Dwight's man, Spencer Hawes, right at the rim. And he basically forced Spencer Hawes to miss the shot, which was just a terrific play. Late in the second, Jeremy got a rebound. And then after that, he hit his fourth three-point shot of the game. Open three-pointer, 20 degrees left of the top of the arc. Another catch-and-shoot play, and at this point, he had 16 points and was the high scorer for the game. Then Jeremy had another blown assist, which I believe was the fourth for him in this game so far, to Terrence Jones, and I believe Terrence Jones missed a dunk. So it was a nice pass, but Terrence just wasn't able to finish it up. Then the announcer said that Jeremy was carrying the team, and he was carrying the team. And the announcer said this was the best ball movement for the team all year, and I agree with that. Now, again, part of that is Twin Towers, and part of it, yes, could be James Harden wasn't playing tonight. So, take your pick. Okay, just looking at my notes quickly here. Then, excuse me, Jeremy missed a three-point shot that was an air ball. The reason why he missed the shot so badly, he was trying to do something that is known as 2-for-1. 2-for-1 means there's only, maybe there's like 30 or 35 seconds left in a quarter or a half. The shot clock is 24 seconds. So you shoot the ball really quickly so that your opponent only has 24 seconds to shoot their shot, and then you're getting the ball back. So what 2-for-1 means, you get 2 possessions with the ball and your opponent gets 1. But in order to do that, you have to shoot the ball really quickly so that there's still enough time that you'll get the ball back after your opponent's shot clock runs out. So again, you won't see this when there's less than 24 seconds left in a quarter or half, because then you can't do it. If you shoot it quick, your opponent can run out the clock. So you'll see this when there's like 30 seconds left or 35 seconds left in a quarter or a half. That's what Jeremy did on that play. He kind of rushed it a little bit and he missed. I then made a note that Jeremy's losing his man on defense. And this is, as I said earlier in the video, this is the help defense thing. Jeremy's looking at somebody else's man and wants to help out, but he might lose sight of his own man. So he's got to keep working on that, and he will. He will. Okay, So going into halftime, the score was 60-57 Philadelphia. At this point in the game, Jeremy had 16 points and 7 assists. He had only 2 turnovers, and his efficiency was already 18. So he was rolling. Dwight had 16 points and 9 rebounds at the half. His efficiency was 22. So it basically was Jeremy versus James Anderson with Dwight Howard thrown in as well. Just looking at my notes quickly. Okay, going into the third quarter, Jeremy started the third quarter. Soon, Jeremy hit his 5th three-pointer of the game. It was a straight-on catch-and-shoot three-pointer, meaning he was almost dead straight on facing the basket. Got the ball passed to him. I don't remember who passed it to him, and he drilled the three-pointer. At that point, he had 19 points and was 5 of 7 in three-point shots for the game. Then Jeremy had his 3rd turnover of the game. He tried to pass the ball to Chandler Parsons on a lob, like on an alley-oop. The pass was a little bit high. But to be honest with you, Chandler came into this game with a bad back. If your back's hurting you, you usually can't jump that well. So if Chandler's back wasn't hurting him, that might have been a good alley-oop. But because his back is hurting him, that might have been why it ended up as a Jeremy turnover. Then, also early in the third, Jeremy hit his 6th three-pointer of the game. It came from about 40 degrees right at the top of the arc. And he's dominating. Just dominating. And the crowd knew it. The team knew it. Everybody knew it. This was probably around the time when he started trending on Twitter. He's just zoning, going crazy. Then, middle of the third, not long after that, he hit his 7th three-pointer of the game. He drilled a three-pointer from about 25 degrees right at the top of the arc, and he got fouled on the shot. Unfortunately, he missed a free throw, but he was just total domination now. He had 25 points. This was a new career high for him in three-pointers made. It was actually 5 was his old number, and now he was already at 7. So this was the Jeremy Lin show. This was just crazy, crazy domination. Then James Anderson scored again on Jeremy after Jeremy played great defense on him. He just lucky scoop-in shot. So he was just determined to score, but Jeremy at that point had played really, really nice defense on him. Then Jeremy had his 8th assist of the game. He dished the ball to Chandler Parsons, I believe it was, for a layup. So at this point early in the game, this is middle of the third quarter, Jeremy already had 25 points and 8 assists. This is just mega domination, just super domination. Then they came back from a commercial, and the Houston broadcast had the three-pointer of the game, and that was given to Jeremy, which there really isn't anybody else you could give it to at this point in the game. Then Jeremy drew a charge, it looked like, on James Anderson, but it was called a blocking foul, which I thought was just a poor call. It was in transition. I thought Jeremy had position, but he did not get the call on that play. Then Jeremy had his 9th assist of the game. This was a pass to Chandler Parsons for a three-point shot. Then Jeremy took James Anderson off the dribble, basically drove on him, scored the shot, and was fouled. Looked like he wanted a little payback on James Anderson, and he got it. Okay. Then late in the third, Jeremy had his another blown assist. Omri Caspi missed a three-pointer. Then he had a little turnover bundle late in the third. He had a turnover. He passed the ball to Francisco Garcia. It was on a fast break. He just rushed it a little bit. This was like a half-court pass, and he
It wasn't a terrible play, but it's in the future, it's a play that don't make that play. Just kind of calm down, run your normal offense. Then he lost the ball on doing a drive. He was trying to drive the ball, and he lost the ball, and that was the fifth turnover. So that was a little 2-turnover bundle there. Then Jeremy had a nice play where he tipped the ball. He was trying to get a rebound. He couldn't get it, but he tipped it out to Houston, which was a nice play. Then he had his 10th assist of the game. He dished the ball to Omri Caspi for a layup in transition. Jeremy went out of the game with 1 minute and 6 seconds left in the third quarter. At that point, Houston was up 85-80. And I put turnover bundle, rest him. In other words, Jeremy was probably a little tired right now. And that's how he had the turnover bundle. As I said, when you get a little tired, dial back your game a little bit. And they probably knew, okay, he might be getting a little ahead of himself right now. Let's get him a rest. And he probably is a little bit tired as well. Then I put at the end of the third quarter, more fair McHale. He played Jeremy and not Patrick here for most of the third quarter. Again, he knew Jeremy was rolling, and he stayed with him. So at the end of three quarters, it was 90-80 for Houston. Jeremy had 28 points, 10 assists. He had 5 turnovers, and his efficiency was 30, which was the best of either team at that point in time. Okay, Jeremy began the fourth quarter on the bench, so they were still trying to rest him a little bit more. Then he came in for Bieber with about 10 minutes and 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter. He then had, I believe, his 6th blown assist of the game to Terrence Jones. I don't remember the miss. Then early in the fourth, Jeremy had his 11th assist. He passed the ball to Omri Caspi for a layup. Then Jeremy forced Evan Turner to miss a shot on defense. Then Jeremy almost had another turnover. The ball got kicked. He was trying to drive the ball, and the ball ended up getting kicked. So he actually lucked out a little bit there. Then I put a note that Philadelphia had put Evan Turner on Jeremy to try to slow him down. So they were freaked out. They knew they couldn't stop him, and James Anderson couldn't stop him. This is when I think that they might have switched the matchups. And at this point, Jeremy may have been guarding Evan Turner as well. Again, I don't know if that was designed to try to slow down James Anderson with Bieber on him. I'm not sure. I do know that Philadelphia put Evan Turner on Jeremy, though, because they were trying to slow him down, and they couldn't. Then Jeremy had another blown assist. So, like, at this point, it's a 7 blown assist. He easily could have had 15 assists in this game. His career high is 14 assists. So, this was just a great game by him. Middle of the fourth, Jeremy had his 6th turnover. He was picked on a drive, meaning he went to drive it and someone stole the ball from him. At this point, he might have been getting a little bit tired. He was probably around, he was getting close to 40 minutes playing. So he probably was a little bit tired at that point. Then, let's see here. Looking at my stuff here. Jeremy missed a catch-and-shoot three-pointer from 25 degrees right of the top of the arc. This is the play where Dwight Howard picked out Jeremy to pass the ball. So Dwight was in the post. I think he got double-teamed, and he looked for Jeremy, and he found him. Unfortunately, Jeremy was not able to hit the shot then, and now Philadelphia was coming back. This is the point in the game where Houston got cold on offense. They might have been a little tired. Philadelphia started to make their run, and they were coming back in this game now. Then Jeremy got his 7th turnover of the game. He drove to the basket, and it looked like he got hit, but they didn't call a foul, and the ball went out of bounds, and so the turnover was charged to Jeremy. Late in the fourth, Jeremy got a rebound. Then he had his 8th and final turnover of the game. He drove the ball, and he wanted to make a pass, but it didn't end up that way. someone on Philadelphia, I believe, stole the ball. Then Jeremy missed another three-pointer from basically straight on. Excuse me. Houston then took a timeout. They were ahead 102-99 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. So Philly had come back, as I said. Houston really had blown a chance to put this game away. But, again, got to give credit to Philly. They're playing well this year, and they're young and they're energetic, and they made a run. Okay, then this is still late in the fourth. Houston was up 106-103. 18 seconds left. Patrick had just made a huge play. He had stolen the ball, and he made 2 free throws, and everything was looking good. Then Houston announcers came back from commercial. Jeremy Lin was named player of the game at this point. Then James Anderson hit a crazy, ridiculous three-point shot. He caught the ball near the top of the arc, like almost dead straight on. Jeremy was all over him. You cannot play better defense than what Jeremy was doing on that in the play. And I think Houston might have double-teamed James Anderson on the play as well. But he rose up and he hit the shot. That's part of what happens when you're a smaller guy playing a bigger guy. They usually can get a shot over you if they want to. And unfortunately for the Rockets, James Anderson got a good look and he hit it. As I said, and that came with 6 seconds left. If he doesn't hit that shot, it's a completely different story tonight. Just a totally, like I said, it's Linsanity, berserk, reunion, wall-to-wall coverage. But James Anderson had a shot, and he hit it. And Houston wasn't able to keep the lead, so that's basically what happened. Then Chandler, I believe, Chandler missed a shot near the end of regulation in order to give Houston the win. So we were going to overtime for Houston for the second straight game. At the end of regulation, Jeremy had 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 11 assists. He had 8 turnovers, and he was 7 of 11 from three-point range, and his efficiency number was 29. So the fourth quarter was the only quarter of the game in which Jeremy's efficiency was negative. So the whole team, including Jeremy, kind of let down a little bit in the fourth quarter. And unfortunately, that was enough for Philly to get back into the game and put them in a position to win the game. Okay, early in the overtime, Jeremy missed a pull-up jump shot. He kind of drove towards the lane within the three-point line and pulled up and tried to shoot it, and he missed. Soon after that, he missed a three-point shot attempt. Then Jeremy had like his 8th blown assist of the game. He passed the ball to Patrick, who missed a shot. Then I put a note that says, Houston can't score now. People are tight. People don't want to take shots, and they're missing shots that they're taking. Philadelphia had the momentum. They had stolen the momentum back from Houston, and that's what basically had happened. Then late in overtime, Jeremy hit another three-pointer, a catch-and-shoot three-pointer from straight on. So Mr. Clutch was back in effect, and that gave Houston the lead, 112-111. Jeremy had 31 points. Then there were 19 seconds left in this game, I believe. Jeremy then got an assist to Dwight Howard, who I believe scored and was fouled to make it a tie game at that point in time. I believe 117 to no, I think Houston was still down at that point. Sorry. After that play, Jeremy then hit his 9th and final three-pointer of the game. He was dribbling up the right-hand side of the court, just stopped his dribble, pulled up, and drilled the three-pointer. Just nailed it. That made the score 119 to 117 for Philly. And there were 8 seconds left, and that was Jeremy's final score of the game. Then, soon after that, they did the offense for defense switch. So Jeremy came out so that he wouldn't get his 6th foul because they needed him to try to shoot a 3-point shot when they got the ball back, and then they put him back in, and Jeremy had his 3-point shot blocked basically near the end of the game. So that was it. Philadelphia won the game 123 to 117 in overtime. And as I said, Jeremy played great in this game. You can get him on the fourth quarter. He had a couple turnovers, slight negative efficiency, but he carried the team for most of the game and was good and very good in the overtime too. So you can't put this on him. That's just silliness. Okay, summary. Jeremy was incredible in the game. He was absolutely incredible. He may have been a little bit tired late in the game. I think there's a flu going around the team, and I think I heard Jeremy's a little bit sick at this point too, so that can happen too. Jeremy hit 9 of 15 3-pointers. That's crazy. I mean, it's hard to hit 9 of 15 2-pointers. To hit 9 of 15 3-pointers is just ridiculous. It's great. This was the second straight game where he carried the team for long parts of the game. Let's make sure we understand that correctly. Jeremy does want to keep working on his turnovers and on his defense, and he will. It will get better. I am certain of that. No doubt about it. Jeremy showed all the shooting work and all the off-season work has paid off. We knew this. We talked about this all summer. We talked about how much we'd see Jeremy in shooting, the reloaded video, and you'd see pictures of him on Twitter, and he's coming out of the Stanford gym. He's got a workout towel, and he worked. And now you're seeing the payoff of that work. It all was real, and here are the results. The Houston offense did look much better tonight without the Twin Towers and perhaps without James Harden, at least for this game. You still need James Harden. Remember, James Harden's a great scorer. Houston will be at their best when you've got 3 scorers. James Harden, Dwight Howard, and Jeremy. Tonight, well, they missed one of their scores, and that hurt them. Onwards and upwards. On to New York. On to the Knicks reunion for Jeremy tomorrow. It's a tough loss. You can't linger on it. It's unfortunate that it happened, but it did happen. And that's the way it goes. Jeremy played well, basically good. Put it in the books. Move on to the next game. Okay, it is currently 3:18 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States on Thursday, November 14th, 2013, which means it is 4:18 p.m. currently in Taipei, Taiwan. Thank you to Gary Chen, whose artwork you're looking at right now on the screen. Gary Chen is a popular blogger and artist in Taiwan, and we certainly appreciate his work. To learn more about Gary, please see the video description below the video player, and you can go and check him out on Facebook. Gary is a member of the great Jeremy-only Lin Garden fan club of Taiwan, and we certainly appreciate all that they have meant for Jeremy's fans around the world and certainly for us personally. If this video is translated by our friend, then we will put that translation in the video description of this video and also probably a link for it in the comments of this video as well. Also, you will find game story, game highlights, and a box score of the game information in the video description below the video player if you want to check that out. And if you like Jeremy, you're definitely going to want to check out the highlights, I'm sure. Next game, tomorrow, actually tonight when I'm making this video, tomorrow night against the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden, New York City. So Thursday, November 14, 2013 in the United States, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That'll be the 10th game of the season for the Rockets, and it will be shown on TNT television in the United States. So that game will take place on Friday, November 15th at 9 a.m. in Taipei, Taiwan. Look, Jeremy's going to be a little tired. He's played a lot of minutes the last two games. This is a back-to-back game. He's not going to have a lot of rest, and he might be a little bit sick. So it might not be his greatest game ever. On the other hand, he always seems to do well against the Knicks. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case again. So it should be a whole bunch of fun. We get to check out Jeremy's replacement, Raymond Felton, once again. I think we last talked about Raymond when the Knicks were getting knocked out of the playoffs last year against the Indiana Pacers. So it's definitely going to be something everybody's going to be watching, and hopefully Jeremy and the team will be able to do well and get the win. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. Plenty to talk about this game and want to hear what you guys are thinking about. I will try to get down to the comments, although at some point I'm going to get some sleep here. Come and join us on the Conservative New Media Facebook group. We have over 2,500 members and counting. You will find information about that in the video description. You will also find information about the CNM Jalen Vids Twitter account. You can come and follow us on there. We love to talk to people on there. We'd love to have you come and join in the conversation with us there. Once again, I am Paula Villarreal, PFV, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. It's a tough loss. It's unfortunate that the team lost this game. It's like I said, James Anderson doesn't make that three. It's a totally different discussion right now. But it happens. Let's not get too blown away by this. Let's not get too beaten down or blame Jeremy or this type of thing. The team lost. Jeremy had a great game. He's really showing what he's all about. I know after the game, Daryl Morey tweeted out, Jeremy's really showing how much he's improved his shooting. That's right. That's right. So let's just move on. Hopefully we get the win against New York, and then everything will look a little better and the sun will be a little brighter. So I hope everybody's having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care of yourself, and we will talk to you again soon.